Carthiban A asks, Digital Impostor, I have a doubt. Do you know how to combine all texture map into one map? I mean, can we attach normal, specular and diffuse map into one map? So the answer is yes, it is possible, but I have found no good reason why you should do it. Without further ado, let's jump to Blender. Welcome to Digital Impostor. Crashing all different textures into one single texture map, as I said in the beginning of the video, don't do it. So thank you for watching and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye. Okay, jokes aside. First, before I will explain to you why you shouldn't do it, I will show you how to create such texture. And it's quite easy. You can use GIMP or Photoshop. But since we use Blender, also I will show you how to do it in Blender. And then I will explain to you why you shouldn't do it. So let's start. I will use GIMP because I'm too poor to own Photoshop. Let's create new file. I will create 8K resolution texture. And from here the job is really simple. You just drag and drop 4K textures and you place them next to each other tightly and nicely. Save the file and your job is done. Great, good job. Okay, now second way, using Blender. It will take a little bit more time, but you can do it. So let's go to shading workspace. Okay, in the bottom left corner, press new. Let's create 8K texture. Let's put the name and press OK. And now here where you see the hamburger, let's go to image and save as. Next step, let's change to compositing workspace. If you don't see nodes, on the top left side you see use nodes, press that. Let's delete the render layers. Okay, now Shift A, input, image. Let's duplicate this node 4 more times. Let's go back to the first node and load our 8K texture. And to the rest image nodes, load all the textures you want to use. Next step, let's add the viewer node, transform node, and mix node. And here where the nightmare starts, that involves math. So for each textures you have to add transform node and mix node. Also the mix node can stay mix or you can change to add. And everything in the end plug to viewer node. Remember that in transform node to offset all the textures to the right positions. So in the end, your result should look like this. Good job, now you are ready to save your file. Select the viewer node, press N, go to item, and there is save this image. And that's all. This is how you're doing this in Blender. And now let's take this texture and try to assign to the random cube in Blender. And by the way, I will try to explain to you why this method is not so good, what kind of problems or obstacles you might encounter. So let's start. Also, I'm using Node Wrangler, So to turn on, let's go to Edit, Preferences, Add-ons, and type Node Wrangler. Turn on our add-on, save it, and that's all. First, let's go to the shading workspace. Let's make a little bit more space. Now let's add the image texture node. Press Ctrl-Shift-T to add the mapping node and texture coordinate. Now let's open our crushed texture. Let's duplicate those 3 nodes 3 times. And now slowly let's connect and set up all those nodes. And this is the moment where all the issues start emerging with this method. Let's go to the mapping node and let's set the right scale and location. And as you already guessed it, you have to repeat this process for all the textures. Now we will encounter problem number 1, so look carefully what will happen because it's very important. As you saw, when we are changing the color space in one texture, it will automatically change the color space for the rest textures. You will ask me why it happens, and the answer is very simple, because we are using the same texture in all those texture nodes. Solution for this problem is very simple. You have to create another this kind of crushed texture where you will keep all the texture in sRGB color space, and create second texture where you will keep all texture in non-color space. Now I will open my second this kind of crushed texture and I will continue connecting the rest of the nodes. And this is how the final product look like. You can choose even more textures to pack or smash to one texture. I just choose the simple way for this video. And as you can see, after connecting all the nodes, the model will be rendered without any issues. So let's talk about the problems I have with this method. Problem number 1, the same textures can be only in one color space. Problem number 2, a lot of mapping nodes. And the math that involves that you have to calculate the right scale and location for each texture. The things get even more complicated when you have different size textures in one file. Almost the same problem you have when you want to create this texture in Blender. You have to add a lot of transform nodes for each texture and then move them to the right position. Problem number 3, as you saw, probably you will need 2 or even 3 such textures because of problems with color space. And the last problem, it's the biggest problem for me, it takes a lot of time to set up all those nodes and to prepare this texture. Loading all the textures and connecting them to the material is really good way, and especially the Wrangler node have shortcut that will let you load all those textures in one click. Also, using channel pack method texture is really good solution. As you can see, it's really fast and takes no time to set up all those connections. So my conclusion is, don't try pack all the textures into one texture. Don't do it. It's, in my opinion, it's just a huge waste of time. If you like this video, please slap that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.